On Tech News today, Aereo creates a new website to convince the world that it merely rents antennas and doesn't steal content. Next week, they'll have to convince the Supreme Court. Also, iFi is launching a cloud service that automatically backs up all your pictures from all your cameras. All that and more coming up next.
This is Twit.
Bandwidth for Tech News Today is provided by CacheFly at CACHEFLY.com.
This is Tech News Today for Thursday, April 17th, 2014. This episode is brought to you by Gazelle, the fast and simple way to sell your used gadgets. Find out what your used Apple and Android devices are worth at Gazelle.com. Welcome to Tech News Today. I'm Mike Elgin.
And I'm Jason Howell.
Tech News Today explores the big stories of the day in conversation with some of the world's best journalists. Our guest co-anchor today is Lindsay Turrentine. Lindsay is editor-in-chief for CNET Reviews. Welcome, Lindsay.
Hi, how are you?
I'm doing great. So glad to have you on. We actually had tried to have you on. I think you were covering, what was it, Mobile World Congress, I think.
Yeah, it was at the big Samsung Galaxy S5 reveal event, and it was just so unbelievably packed. We just could not get a signal through.
Well, you had the courage to volunteer to do the show from the line to get into the keynote, and I appreciated that. Unfortunately, there was so many people using phones and wireless connectivity that we just couldn't do it. So
yeah, we barely made it out with like our feet intact, to be honest. It was a scrum. It was amazing.
Well, congratulations for surviving. I'm glad we finally got you on the show. All right, well, let's jump right into the news. Aereo takes its case to the Supreme Court next week, but first the company is throwing itself on the mercy of the public. A new website called protectmyantenna.org is part of that company's PR push to convince the world that it's merely renting antennas and not stealing content. Now, you should note that Lindsay Turrentine works for CNET, whose parent company is CBS, one of the companies involved in the case, so Lindsay won't join this particular part of the conversation, but we do have a couple of excellent guests, the first of which is Dwight Silverman, who's a writer for the Houston Chronicle. Welcome, Dwight.
Welcome. Thanks for having me.
We also have Ted Johnson, who's a writer for Variety, which is a trade publication that covers Hollywood. And welcome to you, Ted.
Thank you for having me.
Now you specialize in Hollywood and politics, is that correct?
Yes, Hollywood, politics, government, and legal. And this is a story that kind of merges all three of them.
Well, can you briefly articulate Aereo's Supreme Court case in a nutshell? I mean, they're basically arguing that what they're doing should be legal, is legal, and is just pretty innocent. So what are they going to be saying next week?
Well, what they're going to be saying is that they are essentially, as you said, just providing the consumer with the equipment that allows them to capture these broadcast signals. The twist is they have the equipment, but they are going to say that this is absolutely just a consumer's private use, private capturing of that broadcast signal, that it is no different than a consumer having a VCR. It's no different than, for example, Cablevision has this remote DVR, and something that the courts have held is legal. So I think they're going to really cast themselves as just the next evolution in technology, and one that falls well within the legal bounds. Now, obviously, broadcasters have a very different opinion of the legality of Aereo.
Now, Dwight, can you describe the technology behind this? Because as far as I know, this is pretty unique technology that they're using.
Well, Aereo describes their setup essentially as outsourcing the antenna that you might normally buy from Radio Shack for $30 for HD TV signals. They have tiny little dime-sized antennas that are on circuit boards mounted in cabinets atop data centers around the country. I visited the one here in Houston a couple of weeks ago. Those signals are then taken down into some servers that set up individual DVRs for each customer. So it's one antenna, one DVR, and it's sent out. Their argument is that basically because it's a single stream going from an antenna that, again, you might put on your house out through the internet, that they are, this is a legitimate use and should be allowed. The technology is really interesting because it's inexpensive to set up, inexpensive to expand, and in cities where they have at least 15,000 customers, Houston is one of those, they say that they are able to make a profit at that level.
So, Dwight Silverman, what you're saying is that if I was in Houston and you and I were both customers and we both TiVo'd, if you will, they have a cloud-based, TiVo-style recording service. If we both selected to record a show, they would keep 2 copies, not 1?
Yes, they keep a copy for each individual that they have. They essentially have a series of 3 terabyte drives stored in their servers. Each one is partitioned for each customer. And so it makes it very easy if they decide that they want to expand, they just add some more of these racks of antennas, they add some more hard drives, and they instantly have more capacity. And again, they use partitioning on these drives to make sure that everybody has their own DVR.
And that's that's how they're getting around the technicalities. Each customer is rented his or her own antenna and has his or her own copy of the recorded programming, and that's really going to be a major part of this case. Now, Ted Johnson, you talked about the case as being essentially over a clause in the Copyright Act. Can you talk about that clause? What this clause is that they're going to be arguing over?
Yes. Aereo's argument is that what they essentially are doing is providing consumers an easier way of getting free TV, and that therefore what they are doing is not a public performance. Now, there is a clause in the Copyright Act that says that copyright holders have a right of public performance. Most people traditionally view that as a playwright has rights to a play when it's performed. A musician has rights to the music when it is publicly performed. But that's not all that the Copyright Act says. In 1976, Congress added what is called the Transmit Clause. And there's a lot of reading of this Transmit Clause as to what it actually means. And the broadcasters say that this was put in there specifically to prevent companies like Aereo from coming along and actually taking its signals. So I think at the Supreme Court, there's going to be a lot of argument over what this actually means. Broadcasters say that have a broad view of the Transmit Clause, saying that it is designed to restrict technologies like Aereo. Aereo sees it far differently and says that previous rulings have really upheld the kind of technology that it has. So in short, a lot of people view public performance as something where a big crowd gathers and sees a play or a movie or something like that. But the reality is the Copyright Act has a more expansive definition of what a public performance is, and it includes things that are transmitted by devices. So I think there is some confusion there over exactly what the Copyright Act says and what it actually does.
Now, Dwight Silverman, if Aereo loses this case and they're essentially overturned, what does this mean for Aereo, and what does this mean for the future of cord cutting?
Well, both Aereo's CEO, Chet Kanogia, as well as its primary investor, Barry Diller of AIC, have said that if the Supreme Court rules against Aereo, that essentially it's over, that they will end up going away. Chet Kanogia told me that he said, I don't spend any time thinking about Plan B. If I do that, I'm not thinking about Plan A. So he doesn't even think about it. One of the things that will happen if they win is that they will expand to as many as 50 cities, and they'll probably do that in accelerated fashion. They probably will also be able to get their application that allows you to watch it on a large television on more streaming boxes than just Roku. Right now, it's kind of a private channel on Roku. But also, the broadcasters have threatened that if Aereo wins, that they will take their over-the-air balls and go home, that they will take them off of the broadcast. They'll take their content off broadcast television and take it behind a paywall and probably just go cable only. You know, whether they actually do that, whether that's bluster and posturing, who knows? But a lot of the analysts that I've talked to, and probably that Ted has talked to also, have indicated that that's something they have wanted to do for some time, and that this may give them the excuse to do it.
Now, Ted Johnson, if Aereo wins this case, how does that change the business of television?
Well, I think it's probably more likely that we'll see more migration of certain types of content over to the cable side. The broadcasters, even the NFL, have said that certain sports programming will start to migrate over to pay TV platforms. Now, the question is, do you blame that really on Aereo? If you look at your cable provider, you notice that there's a lot of sports programming on there right now that used to be free. I know it here in LA with the Dodgers and the Lakers. I think that I don't think if Aereo wins, all of a sudden we're going to see the networks migrate to cable. I think it's going to be much more of an evolution. I think they first are going to watch and see how Aereo plays out, whether they start picking up a number of subscribers. There are political hurdles for broadcasters to just say, okay, we're going to call it a day and move to cable. That would have a lot of outrage in the halls of Congress. And there's also the matter of the affiliates. What do you do with the affiliates that are out there? So I think if anything happens, it will take some time to play out. The immediate impact, though, could be in some of these retrans negotiations. Broadcasters will not have the same bargaining power when they go to cable or satellite firms and make those deals for their signals. And this has been a pool of money that has been increasingly lucrative to TV stations. They say that it has helped them survive recently, especially as the ad dollars disperse to so many different other types of platforms.
Ted Johnson, of course, no matter whether Aereo wins or loses, this is going to be a precedent-setting case that's going to change everything one way or the other. So just in one word, are they going to win, yes or no?
I have to, it's not even one word. I would say no. That's my prediction.
Okay. And Dwight Silverman, what's your prediction? Yes or no? Is Aereo going to win this case?
I think they will win.
All right. Well, speaking on behalf of the technology journalists, the technology journalists think it's going to be Aereo, and speaking on behalf of the Hollywood press says no. So we're going to find out early next week. Dwight Silverman, I want to thank you for coming on Tech News Today.
Thank you for having me. I appreciate it.
All right, you can find Dwight Silverman at blog.cron.com and also on Twitter at dsilverman. And Ted Johnson, I want to thank you as well.
Thank you very much.
Find Ted Johnson's work at variety.com and on Twitter at TedStew. That's TEDSTEW. In a minute, we're going to talk about what's happening with Twitter, but first I want to tell you about Gazelle. Gazelle will buy your used gadget so that you can have a little money to spend on your next gadget. The way to use Gazelle is you simply go to gazelle.com, that's GAZELLE.com, find your item, tell what condition it's in, and you'll get quoted a price. The iPhone that we're looking at now is in flawless condition, according to Jason's entry here, and the unlocked price is, wow, $370. That's an iPhone 5S, $370. That's quite a price. They will send you a box. They'll send you a sticker that comes with that box. You simply put your old device into the box, put the sticker on the box, put it in the mail, and off it goes. And what comes back is a check or money via PayPal, or the best option, in my opinion, is the Amazon gift card option. That gives you 5% more money for your device. It's risk-free. Offers are good for 30 days. When they quote your price, that's the price for 30 days. Even if the value of that device goes down during that time, they'll honor the original price. Gazelle has paid more than $100 million to over 700,000 customers. Shipping is fast, free, and easy. So find out what your Apple or Android device is worth. Take a minute, go to gazelle.com to find out. And do it now, because your device may lose value the longer you wait. Well, I'm going to tell you about Twitter in just a second, but first I want to tell you about some news that broke just as the show was starting, which is that Facebook is coming out with a new feature called Nearby Friends. And as the feature name suggests, this is a feature that enables you to find out which of the friends that you follow on Facebook are, within a certain distance of where your current location is. So that'll be interesting to see. Surprising they didn't have this feature earlier. But let's get into the Twitter news. Twitter unveiled a beta version of its long-rumored mobile app install ads program today. The new offering enables app downloads directly from ads to mobile devices. Now, Lindsay, this is an interesting and expected development because Facebook has been doing a really big business with this.
Yeah, I mean, it's pretty compelling. Right now, mobile app installs require you to sort of remember that you need to go to the App Store, download something when you need a chance, blah, blah, blah. It takes a huge barrier out of the way for Twitter to be able to sell ads that usher you to right where you need to go to download, an advertiser's app. It's kind of a big deal. Yeah. And it actually is, it could be argued that it's neat for users too, because if you see an ad that you like and you want to do that, you don't have to leave, you just click and you're done. Absolutely. And I think for companies, the big play here is mobile advertising. Everybody's looking at all of the major companies, Google, Facebook, Twitter, to see how they do with mobile advertising. It's a tough nut to crack, this mobile advertising market. Very different from the sort of online desktop browser market. And Facebook has been killing it in this market because, in fact, they tried and failed with a number of initiatives. And this is the thing that really sent Facebook over the top. And, like you say, it's a win for Facebook and Twitter. It's a win for the advertisers, and it's a win for users because it makes it very convenient to download apps. Now, this has been in the works. I guess they've had some beta advertisers that include Spotify, Hotel Tonight, Kabam, Deezer, and some others. And I guess they haven't been charging them. They've just been trying it out. What happens today is now it's still in beta. What happens today is that now they're going to start, taking money for this service. So we'll be looking at that very closely. Yeah, I think it's imperative that that companies like Facebook and Twitter continue to find ways to make advertising a little bit more compelling. Because the problem with mobile ads is such a basic one, which is that there's just not very much room for the ad. And if the ad is big enough to get your attention on a tiny screen, it's so big that it blocks everything else. So it has to have a magic something else to make money in a really effective way. So it's good to see that Twitter is doing this because we know that Twitter is sort of leveling off in its daily active users. So it has some challenges there. And it's also going to be using an ad network that it purchased called MoPub to roll out these ads to a broader set of spaces. So you may see these ads in the Twitter app, but you'll also probably see them popping up via Twitter's ad network on other websites. So it's not actually just kept to the Twitter app. It's rolling out well beyond the Twitter app in beta right now. Yeah, and of course it's a natural because everybody who's using a mobile device has the capability and probably has the interest to download apps. The challenges that Twitter have compared to, say, Facebook, is they have a much smaller active user base. And the second thing is that they've been less associated with advertising. I mean, Facebook has spent a lot of time getting their users used to the idea of advertising on Facebook, whereas for Twitter, advertising is something that's pretty new. And so the habit of using Twitter and interacting with ads while using Twitter is not a deeply ingrained one. So they've got an uphill battle here, and it's by no means certain that they're going to succeed with this the way that Facebook has. Yeah, I mean, they're really going to have to take advantage of that ad network because for the reason that you mentioned, the active daily user base, not gigantic. And so they're going to have to find ways to be really relevant via their ad network. Facebook has the advantage of knowing, when you're on any particular page that you are a person who likes, I don't know, jewelry, and you're likely to buy jewelry. Following you around via an ad network, on a mobile device, it's going to be a little bit tougher to figure out exactly who you are and what you want. It's probably totally possible, but it'll be interesting to see if Twitter can do that off its own app. Yeah, definitely.
Well, iFi is launching a cloud service. The company's best known for Wi-Fi capable SD cards that go into digital cameras for easy offloading of pictures. The new iFi cloud service offers unlimited cloud backups of all your photos from all your cameras. And with us to tell us about this new service is Wilson Rothman, who's the personal tech editor at the Wall Street Journal. Welcome, Wilson.
Hey, Mike and Lindsay, good to be here. Thanks a lot.
Hi, Wilson.
So how does iFi Cloud work exactly?
Well, the iFi card, if you can see here, is just exactly the same size as a regular SD card. You know, there's no difference in terms of the form factor, but inside this, there's a Wi-Fi chip. I don't know if you could see that. I was moving a little fast. It goes in your camera, any camera, just like you would put in your regular card. But what it does is it creates a wireless network that your phone or computer attaches to, basically like a wireless access point. So as you're shooting, if everything's working correctly, it's sending the photos back to your phone. Now, the new innovation from iFi today is that they're now uploading those pictures in full resolution to a cloud account. You get 3 months free to start with, but it's $49 for the yearly subscription, but for unlimited pictures.
Now, Harry McCracken called it the best Wi-Fi camera experience yet. Would you agree with that? Is this a good experience to use?
That's one of those funny things. There's really no great Wi-Fi camera experience. So calling anything the best is you got to leave room for a big upside here. It's definitely one of the most innovative. You know, it's been around since 2007. These guys wrote the book on Wi-Fi in cameras, and Canon, Nikon, Sony, they've all tried a lot of things, but the software just hasn't really worked out well. So in that respect, and especially with this new development in the cloud, I would say yes. I would agree with my friend Harry and say it is the best, but it could be better. I've found the most particular issue I've encountered with it is just keeping your camera and your phone connected via Wi-Fi. It seems a lot easier than it actually is, because your camera will shut off the power to the Wi-Fi when it doesn't, want to be transmitting. And of course, your phone is always looking for a friendly Wi-Fi network that it knows to connect to. So, I can demonstrate it, but you have to start by making sure the thing is actually connected,
Interesting. So, one of the things that's different about this model compared to other cloud-based services that either specialize in photos or specialize in any sort of file is that once you pay the $49, you have unlimited storage. Now, I have a camera that takes 12 megapixel pictures at a rate of 8 frames per second. 8 pictures per second, and it can do that up to 130 pictures. And I'm pretty crazy with that button, and I just lean on it and just take, gazillions of pictures. Now, the time, first of all, the time it takes to upload those through Wi-Fi is one issue that I might encounter, but the other issue is I end up with gigabytes and gigabytes of picture files. Is this going to be economically viable for them to do that because of annoying people like me?
Well, for starters, they're not going to upload your raw images. The resolution, or I should say, the file size of raw images is just off the charts, as you know, and they're not going to take those. They're only going to take the JPEGs that come off of your camera. For starters, they will let you sync photos from your mobile devices as you take them. So you can sync photos from your iPhone and your tablets, whatever, but you can't upload your back catalog. That'll be, I think, the price point of contention for iFi. When they finally do say, supposing this is a success, if they say, hey, you can have, all your photos on the cloud, they're not going to do it for $49. They're going to definitely raise the price to let you put every photo you've ever taken up there. I
have a couple of pressing questions, because I'm sitting here thinking, gosh, I want to use this for my DSLR shots, and then realizing, oh, right, my Canon uses compact flash. So we're stuck with SD. I take it. And if you shoot in RAW, that's it. You're not, there's no secondary choice here. So for really extreme photographers, you're kind of limited.
I would say, extreme photographers are not going to want to rely on this either, because all of that processing in the camera, all those huge files, if it's sending via Wi-Fi, it's going to drain the battery too. iFi, they admit that they are a bit of a battery suck there. As far as the other stuff, the newer Canons, I believe, even a lot of the pro level ones have SD card slots as well as CF now. I'm pretty sure the 5D Mark III has an SD slot.
Yeah, I have a Mark II. Ghetto.
Okay. Better upgrade, Lindsay. What's up with that?
I know it's a huge bummer because that's the service. That's where I need the service, right? Like on my cell phone, both on my Android hand phones and my handsets, and on my iPhone, I have solutions for this. They're not perfect, but this isn't perfect either. So
you're totally right. I think tweeting and you're never able. It seems a lot harder to Facebook or tweet pictures you take with your SLR, and I think this is that kind of a stopgap solution. But I mean, there's definitely issues with it, and I think as iFi takes on bigger companies like Dropbox and Apple, it might be a little bit of a messy fight for the company.
It seems to me too. I'm sorry. Go ahead, Lindsay.
I was just saying, I hope it works out, right? I'd love to get to that place where my DSLR has a really seamless sort of, someday it'll happen.
Yeah.
Right.
But for now, it's tough.
I just hope that they come out with a feature that makes it super easy or automated for you to transfer your pictures to these other services that they're competing with. The advantage, of course, for iFi is that they can lower their storage costs, because if you're offloading pictures, they don't have to store it. But the advantage for users is that, for example, I'm a heavy Google Plus user. All my pictures currently go from my Android phone to Google Plus, automatically, and then they just announced a new feature this week where in Gmail you just click on the picture button and there are the pictures from your phone, which is very convenient. And also if you post on Google Plus, of course, they're just right there. So that's really what I want, is for all my pictures to be just right there when I'm ready to post them or send them or whatever it is I'm going to do with them. I also think it's kind of a major bummer that you can't upload your old pictures, so now you have to keep them in two separate places. And I don't think anybody wants to keep their pictures in two separate places, separated by the arbitrary point in time when iFi came out with this service. So that doesn't make any sense at all. But just very quickly, Wilson Rothman, how did you like the app? Was the app, did it have good usability, and was it an appealing experience?
The app is simple. I can kind of show it to you here. And you can see I took some pictures, with you guys at the bottom there. Anyway, it's fairly rudimentary. It's got photos, albums, which you can make by hand, and then tags. So as you're going through, you can tag your photos. What it doesn't really do is separate the images by their source. I think, Mike, this would probably be as much of a pain point for you as the other thing. Like, I take a lot of pictures on 2 different cameras with very different qualities, and I want to be able to separate them out and stream through them individually, and that won't happen, not yet. What I do like, though, is that it takes advantage of the sharing features that are built into the phone. So if you're on Android or on iPhone, you can just tap it, share it out via the phone's internal sharing. So if you've already got your phone on Twitter, then it's very easy to send those photos straight out. And then as far as making sharing the albums, you don't have to join anything or do anything weird to see the photos that your friend sends you. It's just a unique URL. So that, I think, is smart. They're starting simple. I think that's probably a good idea. But of course, I've already got a list of things that I wish I had on the thing.
All right. Well, Wilson Rothman, thank you for coming on Tech News Today and telling us about iFi's new cloud service.
Happy to be here. Thanks so much.
All right, you can find Wilson Rothman on the Wall Street Journal's website at WSJ.com, of course, and on Twitter at WJRothman. Well, an exclusive on the information website by Tom Doughton says that Hulu intended to create a major TV show to compete against the likes of Netflix, which has succeeded with original programming like House of Cards, but that Hulu executives killed the project. With us to tell us about his exclusive is Tom Doughton himself. Welcome, Tom.
Thanks. Good to be here.
So what did you find out about the project they canceled? What was this show?
First of all, I should correct. It wasn't Hulu executives that killed the show. It was the board. And that kind of gets to the heart of what really has been plaguing the company for a while, and what I talked about in the piece, which is that the company is it's at a crossroads right now. The video landscape has changed a lot since they began in 2007, and a focus on originals has become really important. I mean, you look at Netflix with House of Cards, and Amazon Prime with the pilot model, and Hulu has sort of been in flux right now. And the anecdote that I had in there about this prestige drama that they were trying to get on the air, it was a Dennis Lehane project. He's of course the writer of Gone Baby Gone, and this was going to be their attempt to recreate the sort of prestige drama of House of Cards. And really at the 11th hour, it all sort of fell apart because the board nixed the idea, and that was really tough for them. And it gets to the heart of, like I say, a lot of the problems that Hulu is having right now.
And of course, Dennis Lehane also wrote Mystic River and Shutter Island. Now, you talked in your piece about, quote, continued executive turmoil and mixed messages about the site's direction. What's that all about exactly?
Well, I mean, there's an entirely new executive team since the beginning. I mean, this was Jason Kilar, former Amazon guy, and then he had a group of people that over time, since the company has been on the market twice and sort of had spending freezes during both of those sale processes, both were called off. They've all left, and it's an entirely new team, and that's kind of brought up a lot of questions about the direction the site's going to take and what its owners, who by the way are NBC, Disney, and Fox, what they really want to see from the site. And when it comes to Hollywood development executives looking at this as a place to pitch their product, they don't really have a clear idea of whether they're going to be spending money, enough money for a high-level drama, and what the overall direction the site's going to go in. And that's tough for a creative team.
Hey, Tom, I have a question. So, I think it's hard to produce television, right? It's expensive and it's a little bit of a gamble especially without, like Amazon's and Netflix's great metrics. Hulu may have some of that. Do you think that there's the possibility that the executive teams at Hulu are sort of looking at, if it's even possible, market saturation for high-value dramas? I mean, are all of our DVRs so full that we just don't have time to watch anything else?
I don't know. I mean, like, they've been at it longer than the other guys have when it comes to streaming. And, Hulu Plus has 6 or 5 million subscribers, which is a pretty significant amount. I mean, it's not easy to get people to do that, especially considering that, they're paying the $7.99 a month plus getting advertisements. So it's a significant revenue stream. And Hulu, even though the company has, been sort of stagnant for the last couple of years, they have a real brand. I mean, that goes back for, since the Alec Baldwin commercial at the Super Bowl, I think that was 2009. So, I don't know if they're stepping away from it, but there's definitely a real risk aversion on the part of the board, or has been for a long time, that has prevented them from really taking the kind of risky maneuvers that you need to. I mean, listen, investing in an original show is a real gamble. It doesn't have a built-in fan base. It's not like, buying the library for New Girl or Downton Abbey, which have already been proven successes. So it's tough, but there is no indication that they don't want to do it. It's just kind of getting the stars to align and there to be an agreement between the executives and the owners.
Well, Tom Doughton, I want to thank you for coming on Tech News today and sharing your exclusive with us.
Yeah, no problem. Glad to be here.
All right, you can find Tom Doughton at theinformation.com and also on Twitter at City of the Town. Well, in other news, a stunning roundup on Business Insider reveals how much money Samsung and Apple pay to expert witnesses to testify on their behalf in patent lawsuit trials, including the trial currently in progress in Silicon Valley. Apple is paying, for example, damages expert Chris Velturo $2.3 million just for this case alone. And Samsung paid an MIT computer scientist named Martin Renard $765,000 for his testimony. His fee is $850 an hour. That's good work if you can get it. I thought academics were kind of struggling, but apparently if you're an expert witness, it's quite a racket.
I think it's my sense is from having I sat on one criminal trial once that it's pretty easy work.
Yeah.
You show up, you answer some questions with lawyers for a little while, and then you show up again and you answer some more questions based on your knowledge. It's a pretty easy gig. It's
even easier if they're paying you $850 an hour. So
certainly
fascinating. Well, in other news, CAPTCHA puzzles, those where you have to type in the words or numbers before being allowed to use a website, they exist for you to prove you're a human and not a machine. But now machines can prove that they're human too. Google has created an algorithm that solves CAPTCHA puzzles with 99.8% accuracy. The company plans to use the system to read addresses from Google Maps Street View photos. This is pretty crazy technology. Lindsay, what do you think about this?
Well, I think it proves that Google is more human than I am, because I swear like 60% of the time I can't read the CAPTCHAs. And if Google's better at reading the CAPTCHAs than I am, maybe CAPTCHAs aren't the right way to go. And I think that's kind of what Google is saying. They've sort of said in their blog post, well, we kind of see now that if machines can act human like humans when it comes to reading CAPTCHAs, maybe there's another way to prove that people are human. And they're working on some back-end technology that uses, I'm not quite sure what, to tell that you're human in addition to the CAPTCHAs.
Wow, amazing. Maybe they'll come out with a service that automatically fills those things in for you, so you don't have to. Wouldn't that be ironic? Well, Lindsay, I want to thank you for coming on Tech News Today. Where can people find your work?
You can find it on cnet.com, cnet.com, and you can find me on Twitter. My handle's right there. All
right. Well, I do follow you on Twitter and enjoy your Twitter stream, and I thank you again.
Thanks so much, Mike.
All right. Well, you can subscribe to Tech News Today at twit.tv/TNT. You can also subscribe to our YouTube channel at youtube.com/technewstoday. And also follow us on Twitter at Tech News Today TV. We also want to hear from you. Send your news tips or whatever's on your mind. Send us an email at tnt@twit.tv or leave a voicemail by calling 260-TNT-SHOW. And don't miss our evening newscast, Tech News Tonight, at 4 p.m. Pacific tonight and every weeknight. My name is Mike Elgin. Thanks for tuning in. We'll see you tomorrow.